Good day, everyone. My name is Marco. I'm the head agronomist at Nutri-Tech. I'm really glad to be back at the farm where my journey with Nutri-Tech started about 8 years ago. So today I'm going to talk about the visual soil assessment, which is a great strategy for us to identify a little bit better what we can't really see when we're walking on our farms. So we talk a lot about the chemistry, how important the chemistry it is for the soil health with a good soil test, understanding our base saturation, pH, nutrient availability. We also discuss a lot about the biology too, and Graeme has mentioned previous about using the microbiometer to understand better the biomass of our soils and also the fungi to bacteria ratio. So today I'm going to focus on the three very important foundation of a soil, of a healthy soil, which is the soil structure. So the visual soil assessment, what we do is basically getting a small sample of our soil. So it doesn't have to be a large amount of soil, just a 20 by 20 and roughly 30 centimeters deep, like this one. So this is roughly 20 by 20, 300 mil deep. And what we try to do is understand about the structure of the soil texture, aeration, and so forth. So I'm just going to guide you through a really practical way to have a better understanding of our soil physics. Okay, so the visual soil assessment, we're gonna add a link to a document where you can refer to it. So basically, we gotta give our soils a score, right? So that includes the soil texture, the soil structure, soil porosity, the color of the soils, if there is presence of mottling. I'm gonna go through all of them, but that's basically what it would look like. Should I just bring it forward or? So what we got here, I picked two very different samples from the same soil. So we have done a lot of fine tuning in the soil for many years, and which includes particularly on this plot, which is, Graeme already showed in the video, this is a turmeric patch where we've been growing a lot of turmeric, and we added a lot of compost. We added a lot of humic acid as well, soluble humic granules, and that's the big difference. So basically, this is a soil where the turmeric has been growing. We've been doing a lot of nutrition farming practices, applying a lot of them into the soil. And this is basically 15 meters apart. So I just walked literally 15 meters and picked this other sample and put them side by side just for us to understand with the properties of the soil, how much improvement, significant improvement we can achieve by using compost and good practices to our soils. So the first thing when we're doing a visual soil assessment is to test your soil texture. So basically the soil texture, it's an indicative of what's the distribution of different particle sizes in your soil, including sand, silt, and clay. And what this tells you is the more clay the soil, more potential to hold on nutrients, more potential to hold water, and so forth. And then if you have a more sandier soil, there is less water retention and less nutrient availability and so forth. So having a good understanding of your soil texture is really crucial to give you a really good guidance on how you're going to apply fertilizers, how often, fertigation programs, and so forth. So a very easy way to identify what's the texture is basically getting roughly in a vial like this, it's 100 mil volume. You add your soil halfway through to 50 mil, and then you top it up with water. So what's going to do is the heavier particles, they're going to settle in the bottom of this vial first. So the sand, within seconds, they settle in the bottom. And then your silt is the second one. It's just going to sit on top of the sand. It will take between minutes and a couple of hours to settle. And the clay is the one that can take up to 48 hours to settle. What you do after that is just measure the percentage of each one. And then what you do on that document that we shared on the link, you can really figure it out what's your soil type. and then you have a good understanding. The soil texture, it's different for different type of crops. So sometimes more clay soil would be the best options for other crops, but a sandier soil can be a much better soil type for what you're trying to grow. And then when you identify the texture, you can put on the scoreboard on a point of 1 to 3. So as we can see here on this one, we can see that the clay content, it's not going to change much. It's more so the organic matter because they are very similar soils, right? Okay, just go back a little bit to the difference between these two soil samples, which is basically, as I said, 15 meters apart. The one on your right side is basically from a grass area. It's just a monoculture, just as grass is growing for years and years and years, and not much has been done to it. Whereas the other one, we've used the compost and a lot of humic acid over the years, and you can easily see the color. I'm going to talk more about color, but basically a darker coloration means more organic matter to your soils. A second aspect that we usually analyze on a visual soil assessment is in regards to the soil structure. So you guys can see that what I've done here is after I collected these blocks of soils, I literally get to a big bucket with a solid bottom and I let it drop for just basically 3 times. Once I've done that, I'm just gonna get all the soil particles. I'm gonna put it in a it can be a billboard, whatever you find solid, just to create this pattern. So the bigger clods, the bigger particles, we put it on top, and then as you go down, the smaller soil fraction. So this is going to tell us what's the potential of our soil to create good aggregation, aeration, porosity, and so forth. This one on the left, which is the one that we worked very well along these years, we can see that there is very little big clods sitting on top here, and the soil is very crumbly all the way down to the soil profile. Whereas this one, we still get a good profile. The soil is not that bad, but you can see that there is much more of a bigger clods in the soil structure. So I would give a higher scoring rate for the one on the left. This one, I wouldn't give a really bad rating, but definitely that one has a much better scoring. A third thing that I would like to look at, and this is the beauty about the visual soil assessment, depending on your soil practices, depending on what you do, you can always add different features for you to analyze. There are numerous other things that you can do. So I just mentioned about this one is one methodology that you can measure the soil texture, but another way that you can do as well is what's called the ribbon test. So the ribbon test helps you to measure the soil texture. So all you need is a bit of soil and just a little bit of moisture. So what you do is just you add enough water so you can actually create a ribbon. So you just start creating a ribbon with it. This is too much. So just form a ribbon. So the more clay you have, the more concentration of clay you have in this ribbon, longer this ribbon's gonna last once you start pushing it. So if I start squeezing it, all right, so this is the ribbon test. So what we do is we make a ribbon and then we start squeezing it. The longer we can, this ribbon lasts, that can tell you how much clay you've got. So you got a little bit of clay, but it seems that, yeah. And then you can actually refer, there are tables online that you can find how much clay it is, depending on how long the ribbon is. So this one is roughly 4 centimeters long, which it's got some clay content. It would be probably a silt sandy clay soil. So, but as we can see, I think a lot of the benefits from the soil is the high organic matter levels that we have based on the compost application and humic acid. Let's have a look. We do the same with this soil. Just add a little bit of water as well. Same size of ribbon. So that the clay component from these two soils, they're probably not gonna vary much because they're very similar, but let's have a look. Do it again. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit less. Well, roughly 4 centimeters long as well. So this is how you can also, another strategy and feel that you can find that you can do to figure out what's the soil texture like. But the third one that I like analyzing is in regards to the soil porosity. And the soil porosity can be a consequence of good practices, but also a consequence of characteristics of the soil. What I would like to see here is, for example, having a look at the clods, if you can see macropores, and they're extremely important for the quality of your soil because this is what gives aeration, oxygen for our biology, for the fungi, bacteria, protozoa, and all the other elements of our soil food web to improve the soil health and create aggregates to improve the soil further. So if you guys have a closer look, it's always trying to find good pores where earthworms will be crawling around. The small pores here, they are a good indication. So this is not a bad score. This is not a bad score. But this one, as you guys can see, and I'll probably focus more on this big block, the amount of pores, the amount of tunnels created by earthworms it's huge. So I'll probably give a good scoring for these two soils. A fourth component is about the color. I just mentioned previously the difference in the color can also tell you how much organic matter. So that soil, because we've been using a lot of compost, the biology has been stimulated by the compost and the humic acid, we have a much better levels of organic matter compared to this one. This one, the organic matter that we found was really sitting close up here where you just have a little bit of the root activity from the grasses, but as soon as you went down in a deeper soil profile, that color just started becoming more red and red. Whereas the other one here where the turmeric's growing, we can see that the black color of organic matter is throughout the whole soil profile. So I'll definitely give the best score for that one, and I'll give probably a halfway through on this second one where the grass is growing. This is a great one. I think Graham mentions a lot about earthworms. 20 earthworms per shovel is the holy grail. And this is literally what we got on this first one. This one on the left, where the turmeric was growing, the amount of earthworms was amazing. So if you could just focus here, this is the amount of, oh, they're even jumping. This is what I got from this one. Earthworms, more than 20, I counted, and even some out here that I didn't find, but they're still coming. Whereas this one, I only found one or two. So that's a huge indication of how important it is to improve using compost and humic acid, how that improves the earthworms. And again, it's a cascade effect that happens. So earthworms that you bring into your soil, better aeration, you're gonna bring more biology you're bringing back to your soil, which means more organic matter. You're gonna be building more and more organic matter. So it's a cascade effect that improves your soil big time. Another test that you can do as well, which I like doing, is the slaking test. So the slaking test is a test done that can tell you how good the soil aggregation is. So aggregation can be formed by a few different forms, but one of the major ones is by fungi that produce glomalin, and they can actually improve the soil structure and keep really good aggregates. So the slaking test basically consists of just getting a mesh on top of this, on top of a container, and then you just put a clod of soil. If that soil breaks apart, that means that there is poor aggregation. If the soil sticks together and there is minimal deposition of that soil in the bottom of the container, that means that the aggregation is very good. If you have a close look, this one, we had a little bit of We had a little bit of a sedimentation on the beginning, but the accumulated amount of this soil is not that bad. And the soil is still together, whereas this one, if you have a look, it's still dropping quite a lot. So I would say that this soil, because of the organic matter and the really high biology that we've got here, has got a much better aggregation than this other one. So I'll give a top score for the left one, and I'll give probably a 1. So from 0 to 2, I'll give it a 1 because it's not that bad. Still with biology, so earthworms, part of the biology. One thing that I noticed as well is when I was selecting and getting all the earthworms separated, that soil there had many other insects in. So the biodiversity of insects was really great. Whereas this one, I haven't seen many earthworms, but at the same time, what you notice on these soils that are degraded and there is not much organic matter build up, a lot of the social insects you find, so like insects like ants and termites, you would see this more often. So I haven't seen many other insects apart from ants. That was all, and a couple of earthworms. We spoke a lot about the principles and the aspects so we can analyze in the soil. So but why do we do that? Why do we have to understand a bit better about soil texture, soil structure for our the soil health and the productivity of our crops? So one thing that really brings a good point is soil aggregation. The soil aggregation is vital, especially for situations where we have floods and a lot of rains and losing soil for erosion. Soil is so precious, and if we just don't hold them together, we can lose a lot of the benefits, a lot of the nutrients, a lot of the good biology from our soils. So definitely getting a good structure with good soil aeration keeps that soil together. Don't lose your soil through erosion. This is a big mistake. So this is very important sort of aspect to improve the quality. And even if we have a look at this soil on the left, the amount of organic matter in so all this organic matter, as we know, for every 1% of organic matter that we increase in our soils, we can increase the water retention by 170,000 liters of water per hectare, which is massive. So when you consider all this rain, all the infiltration, this is a really good way for you to hold as much moisture as you can in your soils. And even in situations where there is a scarce rain, so there is not much rainfall, you really want to save every bit of water that you can. So really getting your organic matter levels up there, this is a huge win. And it just basically escalates. So for every 1% of organic matter increase, your biology is going to be doing a better job. You're going to have much more water retention. Your plants are going to be producing much more biomass, and it's going to have much better root development, which just, again, as I just mentioned before, is a cascade effect. Better root development, better biomass stimulates biology, better biology, organic matter. So basically, for every little bit of organic matter that increase in your soils, the benefits is just exponential. So great benefit. Another thing that I didn't mention here, I mentioned about applying compost and humic acid, but one thing that I didn't mention is we've used heavy loads of mulch here. And the mulch is, if you can use mulch, it's extremely beneficial for the soil health because it really creates a ground cover. So one thing is the mulch eventually, with good biological activity with moisture, breaks down and becomes organic matter, which we already mentioned. It's a huge win. But one thing is the ground cover, what the mulch does. I have an example where I went with a farmer and growing passion fruit, and we were just having a look at the difference on the temperature, and we measured biology in the soil. So right on the drip line of the passion fruits, the soil was really bare, no plants growing. And then right in the middle of the rows, in the interrow, there were plenty of weeds growing. So we did a test measuring temperature and moisture. First, to start with, the temperature where the weeds were growing, it was 10 degrees lower. So it was middle of the summer. We were probably 35 degrees on that day. The temperature in the soil was 10 degrees lower where the weeds were growing, and the moisture was 8% higher. So when you have mulch, you use mulch, you're going to preserve much more your biology. Your biology is going to be doing the job in the depth in the soil, protecting them from the sun, from the heat, from evapotranspiration. So this is definitely one thing. Compost, the organic, the humic acid, and the mulch is a huge, huge factor for your crops as well.